Fantastic. That's the right answer. How are you today? Chris, how are you?
Hey there, I'm doing really well. How are you getting on?
Excellent. I'm doing well also. Thanks for being here today. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, delighted. Really excited, to be honest.
You have a great background. Whatever's out that window, that building is great.
Thanks very much. I'm in the office today, Mike. So yeah, we're in Glasgow.
Yeah, I love that. That is cool. That is all right. Very neat. Hey there. All right, I'm going to go check on the other ones, and I'll be here if you need anything, if anything pops up.
Thanks so much, Mike.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Cara, how are we doing?
Good, thanks. Hi, Erin. Hi, ATAC 5. Nice to see
Mike. That's Mike.
Oh, is that Mike?
I was just chatting to him there.
Thanks for joining, Erin. I will just get my slides ready.
Perfect.
The sun's shining in here. It's lovely.
I know, it's actually a really nice day for once. Well, will we turn on these closed captions, Cara?
Okay. Can you see them?
Oh, in fact, I think that's maybe something that the individuals choose themselves to turn on.
Okay, perfect.
Erin, do you know? Do we? Oh, no problem at all, Erin. I'll just message you specifically. We need to turn on closed captions. You can see them. Perfect. That's really helpful. Thank you, Erin.
Great. So I will just share my screen just now, and once everyone's in, then we can begin.
Excellent.
Great, so I've got the subtitles set up for the presentation as well.
Fantastic. I'm wondering, Erin, are these captions that we set up on top of the Zoom closed captions? And if so, is that going to be confusing? Or is this okay? They are both
Wait.
there. Okay,
Wait, strange, we can't see the chat.
Yeah, I can imagine. No, that's perfect.
I'll let you keep me in the loop with that, Chris.
Yeah, no, I'll look at that. One is bigger though I can see both. So, Cara, I think if there is Zoom closed captions there, so it might be best just turning off the PowerPoint closed captions.
Sure.
Rather than having kind of two.
Yep, no problem. I wonder if I can do this in here. There we are. That should be in off now.
Am I visible, guys? I'm trying to.
Oh, hi. We can't see you. We can see that you're here.
Okay, start. Should I just click on the to make myself visible? Where should I click?
Yeah, you can.
At the bottom.
Yes, you can show your video just by selecting it. At the bottom, a bar should pop up, and then you should.
Okay.
There we go.
I see. Okay. Hello.
Hi, Jen. Nice to meet you.
Same here.
I'm Karen. This is Chris.
Hi, Karen, Chris. I'm Anjali.
How are you doing?
Okay.
Where are you calling in from today?
I'm from Middlesex, New Jersey.
Oh, great.
And you guys?
In Glasgow, over in Scotland,
Oh,
UK. So yeah, we're very excited to be.
so you are in Scotland.
Correct. Yeah.
Kara is in UK.
Yes.
Yes, I'm also.
US. Wow. Nice. Okay.
We've been to New Jersey at the start of this year. Actually, we stayed in Weehawken.
Okay.
Yeah.
North. Yeah, further north.
Further north.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That was,
Nice to meet you guys. So we are 3 of us here now.
yeah, great.
All right.
Well, I guess we could kick off in a couple of minutes and see if anyone else is joining. I'm sure there's a lot of sessions on just now, but I know this has been recorded, so maybe what I'll do is just start things off. You're happy with that, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely, Karen.
Absolutely, yes.
Great. So
And I'm going to just mute myself so that we don't get the disturbance, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. So yeah, I'm Cara, and I'm from PresentPal, Estendio, and I'm presenting with Chris today. Chris, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thanks very much, Kara. I'm Chris, and I'm the founder and CEO of PresentPal. Yeah, I'll just get us kicked off then. In the first instance, I'd like to introduce the product. I'm using it myself. So it's a presentation support software communication aid, which I created as a student with dyslexia out of my own experiences. So we're going to talk you through the software today. But before we do, Karen just had a great slide there, which is on the accessibility side of things, which we take really, really seriously. And it'd be great to get any feedback or thoughts if anyone has any comments on our slides. But yeah, we're trying really hard to make these slides and content accessible for everyone. So if there's any comments or feedback, that'd be fantastic. But we'll just get kicked off just now. So essentially, I just started a business degree in Glasgow at the University of Strathclyde, and I was diagnosed with dyslexia when I was roughly around 12. So school was really interesting for me as I was really trying to learn my own coping mechanisms, and I was really kind of struggling my way through school. I finally got to a stage where I was learning how to really process things and actually understand how to get the best out of my own educational experience. I don't know what's happening with my pinging. I'm trying to turn that off. So I was finally kind of getting to that stage where I could understand how to process things myself. And I literally just in the nick of time understood how to get the best of my own personal dyslexia. I then managed to kind of get offered a place at my dream college or university to go and study a business degree. And essentially I had, you know, we were sat down and told we had to give a presentation 2 or 3 times per week, often being graded. And I really struggled with that. I was learning new content every single week and just found that I couldn't learn quickly enough. And when I was standing in front of my classmates trying to deliver that content, I was just was totally forgetting my content, or I was really just struggling with presentation anxiety. I was really struggling to keep my place in the presentation. If someone coughed or someone's phone is pinging like mine was earlier, I found that really hard to kind of keep my place and actually kind of maintain my kind of rhythm. So it was a real challenge for me. So I went and met with my disability student support team in the university, and I was offered all sorts of great support for my dyslexia, so extra time in exams, different pieces of assistive technology. But for me, the biggest challenge I had was really around the presentation anxiety side of things. And I asked what support was available for me, and I was told that there was very little available. I was told how the disability support services hear this all the time is a major problem, but there wasn't really any solution. I was offered to either present directly to the lecturer, but if I was really anxious, I could just skip the presentation altogether. I just felt really let down and frustrated by that because we were told how important a skill it was. And then obviously for myself being dyslexic, I'm looking at statistics like only 20% of people with disabilities are in employment. And I just thought the kind of job of recruitment, kind of getting your first role is hard enough anyway. I really need to be able to nail this skill. So I wanted to do a little bit more research into this. From there, essentially, I found after getting roughly about 2,000 students to fill out different surveys and questionnaires and things, I found that 93% of students had to present as part of their degree, and that 86% of students with disabilities like myself had some form of presentation anxiety. So this was something that was really important. And then even just considering the dropout rate, which is significantly higher for those with disabilities, I really thought, you know, I really need something for myself. So again, I wanted to understand why I was struggling with this, why the other 86% of people with disabilities like myself struggled with this. And it essentially came down to 6 key facts, really, or key challenges. The first is visual stress. So that is actually having notes and being able to read them. So in my instance, I was trying to use flashcards and I was just really struggling to keep them in order. And then at other times I was trying to use a script. And at that point I was trying to read from that script, and reading for me is challenging enough anyway. But then having to stand in front of a room full of my peers and deliver a presentation was very, very challenging. The second aspect is around the working memory, which for people like myself with SpLDs, that is a real challenge. So for me, the real problem was having to learn new content and then stand in front of all of my classmates, all my peers, and be graded on something that I've just learned. When we had to give 2 or 3 presentations a week, I found that there was no real time to learn and really ingrain that content into your long-term memory. So I was relying very, very heavily on things I had just learned and trying to assure myself that this is correct, when deep down in the back of my mind, I didn't know if a fact that I was giving was correct or incorrect. And that played very kind of closely into the next factor, which is really, really underlying with why communication is difficult, which is anxiety. And so that is really focusing in on having that doubt in the content that you're presenting, having the doubt in what you're presenting is correct, and making a fool of yourself and kind of presenting wrong information. For others with, for example, ADA or autism spectrum disorder, linear thinking is a big challenge, and that is actually trying to deliver a presentation which flows in a conversational manner rather than being very factual. And then again, information recall is a major challenge. It's just trying to be able to rescue yourself from having that horrible moment where you've taken a brain freeze or you've lost your train of thought. It's actually trying to then find that space where you can regain your momentum in your position. But that's the biggest factor is really looking at cognitive overload and working memory challenges. Again, I think the main thing to emphasize when I was doing this research is that I found that it wasn't just myself who struggled with this. So there are 30 million presentations that are made every single day. It is America's #1 fear. 77% of the general population suffer from presentation anxiety. And the crazy thing is 40% of millennials would rather interact via smartphones than face-to-face. So it's certainly not just myself that had this communication challenge.
Yeah, and I think kind of just building on what you were saying, Chris, it's not only when you're presenting that's a challenge, but there's many other challenges you can have with communication, and some other facts and stats that we found, which are quite kind of scary, are related to even the younger generation. So 1 in 12 children ages 3 to 17, they've had a disorder related to voice, speech, or language. So I'm sure any speech language pathologists that tune in or catch up on this can absolutely relate to that statistic, and it just shows there really is quite a big challenge for younger individuals as well with this task. And looking at, like you said, it's America's #1 fear is public speaking, and 7.5 million Americans have difficulties with oral communication as well. So it is a big issue and a big challenge that we're looking to help. And then looking at students, taking it into the classroom, taking it into school, It's the second biggest source of anxiety for students with autism at school. And that's really when it takes the task of public speaking. That's when it can kind of bring it more to life and kind of make that a little even more debilitating when you're in front of your classmates. So even just kind of why we're so passionate about communication. Obviously, Chris has shared his story about his own challenges, but oral communication skills are fundamental to younger kids and also to people in higher education going into employment, like Chris was mentioning. And really, when you are kind of younger, it's looking at the development of literacy, which is essential for thinking, learning, and that all ties into your oral communication skills. And they are vital as well for getting into career prospects, for academic success as well. All factors into that. Being able to engage in the classroom is something that has is part of an oral communication skill and is practicing that. And then a couple of other reasons why communication may even be even more difficult for an individual with a physical condition, for example. So if you might have a traumatic brain injury, you might struggle to structure your sentences. So being able to support someone with that challenge is something that we're really passionate about. Looking at mental health, if you have anxiety, like Chris mentioned, standing up in front of everyone can just be the worst thing, something that you absolutely would dread. And if you do have anxiety already, then it is kind of presenting that fear in front of an audience of people. And then if you have a neurodiversity as well, like you mentioned with your own story, Chris, dyslexia, or if you're on the autistic spectrum as well, it can just make it that little bit more difficult. And that's something that we are really keen to address and keen to kind of share a little bit more about the solution that Chris came up with to help with that. So just kind of looking at the current accommodations that are provided for an individual that might have a communication challenge. So we actually took this data at ATIA earlier on this year. So we managed to go across the US, which was great. Lucky we managed to go there because that was January time. But what we did is we actually collected some data when we were there with speech language pathologists, occupational therapists, attendees of the conference. And we asked them just a really simple question: what kind of accommodations would you provide for a student with communication or presentation challenges? And these were the top results that we got from that. So as you can see, one that really stands out to me is letting the students skip the presentation. And I think that's something that that's what Chris was presented with when he tried to get a solution for this challenge. And I think we all know that doesn't necessarily work, because you're not going to be able to gain that life skill or get any practice in that life skill if you are just kind of getting a pass and skipping it. Another one that really stands out is the extra time as well. So I think giving your student extra time sounds like it would be a good idea, but then actually the reality of it is you are going to be standing in front of your classmates for even longer, which again will probably make you feel even more anxious or more nervous if you're having to present for a longer time. So for us, we were quite kind of surprised with some of the results, and I think it is just kind of not really knowing what else is out there, not really having these strategies that have been tested or any kind of assistive technology solutions that really kind of fit the bill for this. So that's something that we want to share with y'all, and we'd love to hear any kind of feedback as well on what you currently provide for a student with a communication challenge or a presentation challenge. So that's kind of how it's looking just now for everyone. And how we want to support people is with PresentPal. So I'll let you take it away, Chris.
So as Cara mentioned, the software is a communication and presentation support tool. So essentially the software works like a set of interactive flashcards on your smartphone or tablet, which basically displays no more than 3 to 5 key trigger words. So the real concept behind this here was trying to stop having an overload in your working memory by giving you too much information the way that you'd have with a script. But what you can do is you can then, there is extra information if you need it. So Yeah, so essentially the app basically has this keyline focus, which means that the bullet point that you're on is much bigger than the points around it. So it just means it's super simple that you know exactly where you are in the presentation if you do get lost. So you're not going to have to frantically scramble to find your place. So you know exactly where you are. It's just a nice, gentle reminder. But however, if you forget what comes after this and you need to find extra information, all you need to do is tap on your bullet point, and basically you will have a safety net which will open up and give you extra information inside here. So what this could be is basically like any extra information you might need that you might forget. It's there. It's going to take your mind off the fact that you're kind of not sure about what you're talking about. You can also have images, diagrams, pictures in here. So the real thought behind this feature was really trying to create almost like a comfort blanket in the respect that it's giving you all the information that you'd have that a script might do, but it's just a lot easier to read, and it's not going to trip you up the way that you would with a script, but it is there if you need it. And this feature here with the images is super useful for people who are a lot more visually driven. This is really useful for presenters with ASD, for example, who may want to literally just describe an image, and that encourages presenters with ASD to be a lot more conversational. And even for myself with dyslexia or someone with anxiety or PTSD, it's certainly very easy to dig you out of that hole when you do forget your actual wording, because you can just describe the image rather than actually having to remember the exact script that you wrote earlier. And it creates just a more natural, free-flowing presentation. The other feature that's really useful in the app is being able to customize all the visual stress preferences. So we've got a whole range of different overlays in here. But as we were discussing, the app really is like a set of interactive flashcards. So the other thing that you can do as well is you can actually turn on a feature called audio cues, which is really helpful. What this can do is basically works like a set of, it's a speech to text, or text to speech, should I say. We also have speech to text, but this is text to speech, where effectively the presenter can pop a headphone in and they can have their notes read out to them. So growing up using assistive tech in the early kind of 2000s, has come on a long way since then. But there's a few pieces of software that I was given that were overly complicated. And from my perspective, one of the things we're really keen to focus on is simplicity. So simplicity in the product, meaning that we're not going to overwhelm users with too many choices of things to do. So you can always turn these features on. The other thing that you can do is turn on a stopwatch feature, which we'll show you in a second as well. There's a really cool feature that we also have called rehearsal mode. So I used this the other day for a brand new presentation, and it's one of my favorite features within the app, where essentially you can practice your presentation. You can be standing in front of the mirror if you like. And if you do find that you have hit that kind of memory block, or there's something in your notes that isn't really perfect, what you can do is you can drop a pin like that. And then what you can do next, when you have dropped that pin, is you can see where those pins have been dropped. You can then go in and edit your notes, so you can add a safety net, or you can listen back, see, okay, this is what I said. I maybe wasn't all that clear. You can also see how long you took on each slide. So in my instance, I had to give a presentation last week, which was 10 minutes. And when I was practicing, I was roughly taking around 11 minutes 30. So I'd established that on my third and on my 9th slide, both of those slides were taking nearly 3 minutes. So I knew that that was an area that I could certainly cut back. And then when I listened, I was really mumbling and really kind of going into far more detail than I had to. So I was able to just refine that back, and I was able to get my presentation in 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I think it's great, this feature. For me, I like to kind of listen back to my own voice to kind of get used to it and feel comfortable. I know there's a lot of times I say and and it's a common thing. So being able to listen back and just try and I'm doing it again, try and hear yourself and saying these little M's and habits and things is quite good to try and break it. Obviously, I need to use it a little bit more though. but yeah, it's great for that as well. And it helps with the UDL kind of aspect of it as well. Looking at self-awareness, self-assessment, evaluation is something that a user can also benefit from that feature.
Absolutely, and it's certainly not just specific for people doing presentations. I mean, this is really a communication tool. There's no question. I think the biggest thing that I could emphasize in this instance is I created this tool directly as a solution for myself. And then we have established, just based on building universal design into the forefront of what we're trying to do, that it has just been inclusive for everyone and much wider use than just in that kind of presentation flashcard side of things.
Definitely. And something that we've just recently released as well is our new add-in on PowerPoint. So as Chris was mentioning, you can create your notes using the app. So you can use speech to text, which is great. I always use that function. But now you can also create your notes through our add-in on PowerPoint. So you just install the add-in, really simple, log in, and you can create your notes. So you can still add images to your safety nets. You can add additional text. And the great thing is you don't have to download or upload your notes. It will literally just send it across through the cloud if you're logged in on your phone and you're logged in on the add-in. So it makes it really nice and simple as well. Because I think, like you were saying, Chris, sometimes assistive technology can be quite overcomplicated and can kind of put you off using it if there's too many things to think about. But we just wanted to keep it really nice and simple and really accessible as well. So another
The other option you can do as well to create your notes is using speech to text. I had thrown that in earlier, and this is probably a good place to reference that. So you can create your notes within the app as well. So you don't necessarily need to use PowerPoint or slides or anything like that. So if you're using it in a more traditional communication side of things, then you can create your notes using your own audio to dictate into your phone to do it that way as well.
Yeah, and this is a great alternative for if you are using slides. So you can create your content and your notes at the same time. But like you say, Chris, you can create your notes for anything like a team meeting, for example. You can just use speech to text and open up the app. So this is actually another great feature of the add-in as well. And what you can do is you connect your devices. So connect your laptop device to your app if you're using slides. And what you can do is you can control your slides with the app. So it removes the need for a clicker, for paper notes. All you have to do is just connect them up. And as you're at the last bullet point and you swipe up, it will change the slide for you. So it means it doesn't overload your working memory again, and also cognitive overload. It really reduces that, which is, for me, you're thinking about looking at the crowd, giving them eye contact, you're looking at your body language, what content am I saying, and you want to make sure you just have that extra bit of control. So you can see that here, just as it swipes up. Another great thing is you don't have to use it sequentially, so you can just jump to slide 6, for example, or slide 1 if you want to go over one of those slides. And I think when you are doing something like a presentation and there's a kind of open Q&A, you can find that you do need to kind of jump in between slides, and it's not always sequential. So that's great to be able to do that.
Word of the day.
Sequential.
Absolutely.
So this is a couple of scenarios of how you could use PresentPal and how students could benefit from this in the classroom. So like we were mentioning, it's a communication tool. You can use it for things like presentations, like we're doing just now. You can also use it remotely, which we're also doing right now. I think, like most people at this remote summit, but it's helpful for other uses, like in the classroom. You could have a class discussion, and you could use it to create your notes. So you could just sit and use your speech to text or type in your notes. And when it's your turn to voice your opinion or contribute in the discussion, then you could use your notes to kind of guide you through that. I think when you're in the classroom as well, sometimes there's just things like white paper and you've got black ink, and that might not necessarily be suitable for someone who might have readability issues or a neurodiversity like dyslexia, for example. So you could also use it for other things like show and tell, and being able to add some images to your notes and showing your friends. That's maybe for the kind of younger audience. And group discussions as well, like I said, and team meetings, you could use that to voice your opinion and have your notes at hand in a more accessible way. And another kind of great use for it as well is being able to help individuals that are English language learners or have English as a second language. So being able to kind of put those notes in a format that they're comfortable with, and even using functions like the text to speech to be able to hear how to pronounce certain words is just something that it could also be used for. So there's many different uses, but this is just a couple that we find are the most kind of common from our current users. And this is probably more suitable for kind of any AT specialists or parents that are tuning in today. But this is really how you could have PresentPal as part of a child's IEP or 504. So really just looking at a couple of the key features, we've just mapped out 5 of those. So that's looking at using PresentPal with the visual cues, having the ability to use audio cues as well, being able to break down information. I think what Chris has mentioned right at the beginning, being able to kind of break things down into key trigger words can be really helpful for the longer term, for kind of building up your memory as well, and using the content in a creative way. You can also, it helps reduce anxiety, like we've mentioned, by being able to rehearse and being able to self-assess is something that really kind of builds you up with a bit more confidence. And then being able to personalize and customize, which we have our color overlays, our font faces, open dyslexic in there. So being able to do that can really kind of suit individual needs, and we know that kind of one size doesn't fit all, so that's part of the reason why we have those features. Just a couple of examples of users and their kind of scenario and how they could use it. Because I think it's always helpful to kind of see it in a real life situation. So we'll take Sam, for example. Sam's challenges with fine motor control and social anxiety. So her goals are to ace college interviews after graduating from high school. So like Chris, she really wants to get into her college of her dreams, and she might have to have an interview before getting into that course. So she could use the software to for that interview, using the STAR method, for example. So your situation, your task, your action. And this is just an example of the type of notes that she might use in that situation. Then we've got Alex. Alex has ADHD and struggles to make contributions to group discussions in school. So again, just really opening up the app, or they're using it on a tablet on their phone. It means they can just create their notes there, and it's really kind of nice and simple for them to be able to communicate what they want to communicate in that discussion. So they could use things like the safety net to add extra information or add an image, and then that would just help them with that task that they've been given.
So yeah, and I think one of the things to really emphasize is this is obviously a new tool to the States, but it's not a new tool generally. So we are obviously from the UK, we're from Glasgow, and the product has become really kind of really popular over here. So like Cara said, ATIA was the first time we've really got over to the States, but before then, we've been working really hard to support, a lot of students in the UK. So the software is actually being used by over 100 universities and schools in the UK at the moment, including some really big ones like Oxford, Edinburgh University, King's College London. So there's some really big universities whose students are using the software, which is brilliant. But now we are also working very closely with different state AT programs as well, and lending libraries. So what we are keen to do is, if there is anyone as part of the IEP who would like to try the software out, either let one of your lending libraries know and we can help from that front, or you can contact us directly and we can help from there.
Definitely. And then just to kind of go into a little bit about how you can actually access it, because I think that's something that once you're kind of quite like a product, then being able to know how to get it is really important. So like Chris mentioned, we can look at free trials. We'd love to offer free trials for AT state programs for yourself to use in your own career, but also to support students that you might be helping through the IEP process. Or if you're in higher education, being able to support your disability services as well. So that's something that we're offering, and we'll share the link at the end of the webinar, and you can just jump on there and we can get in touch with you to set that up. You can also purchase it. So we have an individual license for $99 per year. And we also have options for loan licenses, which reduces the price, and site licenses as well, if that would be for your institution, for example. So again, if you do want a little bit more information, or we can give you a bit of a deeper dive, then just you can jump onto our website and we'll get back in touch with you. And then another option, like we've mentioned throughout the whole presentation, is being able to recommend it for a student for their IEP or their 504, or supporting them through the Americans with Disabilities Act as well, by providing them with that accommodation. So yeah, I guess we've kind of came to the end of the presentation. This is the link here that you would the website you would go to fill in the form, and we get back in touch with you and set up a demo and a free trial, or give you more information depending on what you're looking for. So it's presentpal.co.uk/NJAT Summit. And also, yeah, get in touch if you want to. We'd love to kind of hear from you. And we put our kind of generic email address there, but you can get in touch with Chris or myself. Our details are in the notes for this presentation as well. So feel free to shoot us a message with any kind of feedback that you might have. And we also have a new group that we've set up on Facebook as well. So we're really just looking to kind of build a community to support each other. So if you have been through the IEP 504 process, you might be a parent, and you want to give some advice to other parents, or if you're OT and you kind of support kids through that process, then we'd love for you to join and help kind of help each other with it. And we do have some free resources in there as well, things like a tracker for remote and virtual learning, because it can be quite hard to kind of keep track of your child's progress. So we've got a couple of free things in there as well, so feel free to jump on. And I've also put our socials there. We're on Twitter and we're on Facebook as well. So we've populated some Q&As from from previous presentations, but I guess what we could do, Chris, is we could open it up.
Yeah. So if anyone has any questions that we can help with, please feel free to fire them into the chat, and then we'll do a Q&A style answering of those questions. But we do have some great ones to kind of get us kicked off in the first instance. So yeah, I'll get us kicked off. So okay, here's one from Erin. I mainly use Keynote with presentations. Does it work with that program? So I'll answer that one. It doesn't at the moment, Erin. So it works with PowerPoint just now, but we're working very hard on getting it integrated with Google Slides. The only thing that I would say is we will look at Keynote at some point, but I think the next software we're looking at will be Google Slides, just based on having Microsoft and Google districts. But the main thing is we don't necessarily need to integrate with a slide companion software like a PowerPoint or a Google Slides, because the software can literally just work by itself as a set of interactive flashcards, just to kind of talk you through the presentation. Yeah.
I guess I'll just kind of pick one out from our previous Q&As. What platforms is PresentPal available on? I can answer it. So you can use it on Android or iOS. And like Chris was mentioning, our integrations, we currently integrate with PowerPoint. Google Slides is in the roadmap just now, and we're working on that and working closely with Google on that as well, which is great. And yeah, it can be used kind of as a standalone app as well. So there is no need to have that integration, but if you do want to use it, then you can. I guess, Chris, I could ask you a couple more questions and then we could probably kind of wrap up.
Yeah, sure.
So how could PresentPal support ESL learners? I guess we kind of tapped into that a little bit, but if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, again, this is a common use in the UK for primarily international students. So we have seen quite a lot of international students who are over in the UK having to deliver a presentation, obviously in a second language. It is very, very helpful for them to have those notes really broken down and easy for them. I'm aware that some students might potentially use their native keyboard to have potentially their notes in their first language and deliver the presentation in English. So that could certainly be an option as well.
Great. We also talked about how you can create notes using it on your laptop. So that is through the Addin, and that can be easily done just by installing the Addin, logging in, and then creating your notes and using your keyboard. Great. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll probably just wrap up there unless anyone else has any other questions just now. I don't think we do. I can't see the chat, Chris, sorry.
No, you're not, Karen. I'm just keeping an eye on it. There doesn't seem to be anything. I would say definitely get in touch, guys, and we can give you a more detailed deep dive on the app, and we can give you some proper product training so that you can see it yourself and actually get to try it out yourself. I think that'll be really helpful. And even just getting, so Kara's just posted that link there. But no, even just to get your thoughts on the tool in terms of how you think you could use it or how it could support yourself. I mean, faculty use the software as well. It's certainly not just something used by students. And then even from the UDL perspective, it's certainly not a tool that just helps presenters with SpLDs. You know, it's really helpful for everyone. And just coming back to that general stat, 77% of the general population also have presentation anxiety. So this is a tool that helps everyone.
Great. Well, thank you very much, everyone that tuned in today, and everyone that's watching the recording. Thanks for taking the time to listen to us.
Absolutely. Have a lovely day, guys.
Thanks very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.